Ethan stepped cautiously onto the jagged surface of the alien planet. The sky above was painted in swirling shades of violet and green, as if the atmosphere itself were alive. He had been sent here as part of a human exploration team, tasked with studying the planet's unusual magnetic fields and gathering samples. But from the moment the landing pod's hatch opened, Ethan knew this mission would be different. The terrain was uneven, with sharp rock formations jutting out like the spines of some enormous creature. Winds whipped around him, carrying a scent that was both sweet and metallic. His boots crunched over the jagged ground, and his suit's sensors were already alerting him to radiation pockets and structural instability. He moved carefully, scanning for anything unusual, unaware that the most unusual thing was not the landscape, but the figure he would soon find. It was near the remains of what appeared to be a palace, half destroyed and smoldering from some recent attack. Fires flickered among the rubble, casting eerie shadows across the walls. Ethan's training urged him to be cautious, but curiosity drew him closer. He could hear faint groans, the sound of someone struggling beneath the wreckage. "Hello," he called out, his voice filtered through the comms system. The sound felt almost loud in the desolate ruins. A shift of movement answered him, and he spotted a figure pinned beneath a collapsed beam. The armor she wore was unlike anything he had seen before. It was smooth, metallic, and etched with intricate patterns that seemed to glow faintly. She struggled, but her movements were limited. Ethan rushed forward. "I'm coming," he said, ducking under debris and pulling at the beam. It took all his strength, but he managed to lift it enough for her to roll free. She collapsed onto the ground, panting and clutching her side. Her face was humanoid but strikingly alien, with violet eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. She was regal even in pain, and her presence carried a quiet authority. "Are you hurt badly?" Ethan asked, kneeling beside her. She didn't answer at first, only looking at him with those intense eyes. "Help me with my armor," she said finally, her voice calm but commanding. "The suit, it's damaged. I cannot fight without it. The raiders took advantage while my city fell into chaos. If I do not move soon, I will not survive. Let's see what we can do." He could repair this even if he had to improvise. "Don't be shy, human," the princess said suddenly, reaching out to steady him. "Touch the suit, you can do this." He took a deep breath and started working, hands moving over the alien alloy, tracing circuits, and applying makeshift patches with the materials he carried. He had no idea if it would hold, but he refused to let the princess down. As he worked, he asked questions. "How does this part connect to the energy core? Are there any special sequences I need to follow?" Here he was, a human, working on the armor of a being whose species had survived countless wars and mastered technologies humans had only dreamed of. He realized that human curiosity and determination might be his greatest advantage. Time passed, and Ethan made slow but steady progress. He patched cracks, replaced damaged wiring with reinforced filaments, and realigned the suit's joints. The princess remained patient, sometimes offering advice in her alien language, which Ethan tried to interpret through context. Outside, the ruins were not empty. Ethan could hear the distant hum of engines and the low rumble of approaching raiders. The princess's city had been taken by force, and it was clear that danger was still very close. "Are they coming?" Ethan asked, tightening a panel over the forearm. "They will come," she replied, her violet eyes narrowing. "But if I can move even partially, we may have a chance. The humans, you may have skills my people lack." Finally, after what felt like hours, he finished the basic repairs. The armor hummed faintly as power flowed through it again. The princess tested a movement, rising cautiously to her feet. The suit was functional, though not at full capacity. "It is enough," she said. "You have done well, human. Now we move." Ethan helped the princess step over debris, adjusting to the alien physiology that was slightly taller and differently proportioned than his own. They moved quietly, keeping to shadows as the sounds of raiders drew closer. Why help me?" the princess asked suddenly, glancing at him. Ethan shrugged. "Because you needed it. And because humans, we don't give up on someone in front of us, even if they're from another world." But here, in this moment, he realized that human ingenuity could shine even among alien technology and alien war. As they approached the edge of the palace, the rumble of engines grew louder. Raiders were not far behind. Ethan knew they had to move quickly. He helped the princess into a crouch position, readying her partially repaired armor for action. "Stay close," she said. "We must reach the ship. Only there can we plan the next step." Step by step, they moved through the ruins, avoiding detection and overcoming obstacles. Ethan held doors open, cleared paths, and offered support whenever the princess needed it. She moved with surprising agility despite her injuries, showing that even in weakened form, her species was formidable. As they reached the outer courtyard, Ethan saw a raider patrol approaching. He whispered to the princess, "We'll need to distract them. I can set a trap." Breathing heavily, they finally reached a hidden hangar where a small ship awaited. The princess paused, turning to him. "You have proven your worth, human," she said. "You did not hesitate, you adapted, you survived. Few beings can do what you have done today." "I'm just doing what humans do best, finding a way no matter what." Flames flickered in the distance, and the shadow of war stretched across the landscape. But for the first time, he felt the full weight and excitement of human potential. The idea that even a single human with courage and ingenuity could make a difference on a scale unimaginable. The princess, now safely in the pilot's seat, glanced at him and said almost softly, "Do not be shy, human. The galaxy is larger than your people know, and soon they will need your kind again." Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew that human determination and resourcefulness would shine. And somewhere in the distance, the shadow of the raiders still loomed, reminding him that this was only the beginning of a story where humans would not just survive. They would lead, inspire, and make their mark on the galaxy. The ship shuddered as it rose from the surface of the alien world, the engines roaring against the thin atmosphere. Ethan gripped the edge of the console, trying to steady himself, though his seatbelt and harness kept him secure. He had never flown an alien ship before, yet somehow it felt like he could sense the rhythm of the controls. The princess, Kayla, sat in the pilot's seat, her hands dancing over panels and levers that no human manual could explain. "Hold tight," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "The raiders are pursuing us. If they catch us in the atmosphere, we may not survive." Smoke rose in twisting columns and flashes of fire lit the ruined buildings. He swallowed hard, realizing that this was more than a mission now. This was survival, for Kayla, for her people, and perhaps, indirectly, for humanity's reputation in this part of the galaxy. Kayla's fingers flew across the controls with precision. The ship tilted and veered, narrowly dodging a falling fragment from one of the city's towers. Ethan leaned over, trying to understand her actions. "How are you doing this?" he asked. "I don't see any manual guidance. How do you control it?" "Your species is slow to understand that concept, but you have curiosity. That may serve you well. You may find your instincts useful." The ship shuddered slightly as it responded, but then the speed increased, and the distant sensors confirmed that the pursuing raiders had lost track. Kayla let out a small exhale of relief. "Impressive. Your species adapts quickly under pressure. That's what humans do best. Is there a safe haven nearby? But how long before the raiders catch up?" He could feel the same spark here, in an alien world beside a princess who was more than royalty. She was a leader, a warrior, and now, a partner in survival. The journey to the canyon's settlement was treacherous. Jagged cliffs and floating debris forced Kayla to maneuver with extraordinary skill. Ethan assisted where he could, recalibrating sensors and monitoring environmental hazards. At one point, a sudden gust of wind almost pushed the ship toward a sheer cliff wall. Ethan shouted a warning, and Kayla's reflexes saved them both. "You see," she said once they were clear. "Humans can anticipate danger in ways my people sometimes overlook. You may be small, but you are clever." "I try." Kayla herself had narrowly escaped death, relying on the armor and now on Ethan's help. "You saved my life," she said, glancing at him. "Not many outsiders would dare intervene, not many humans anyway." "Humans, we don't abandon someone who needs help, even if they are from another world." Nestled between towering cliffs, it looked almost invisible from above, a hidden enclave shielded by natural rock formations. Kayla guided the ship carefully through narrow passages, avoiding detection by raiders who might still be searching for them. Landing was delicate. The settlement's residents, a mix of soldiers and engineers, watched with cautious curiosity as the ship touched down. Kayla stepped out, her partially repaired armor gleaming faintly under the setting sun. Ethan followed, adjusting to the alien physiology that made him feel slightly smaller in comparison. The settlement's leader, a tall figure with metallic markings on his face, approached. His eyes widened slightly when he saw Ethan. "You are human?" he asked. "Yes," Ethan replied, standing tall despite feeling out of place. I helped the princess, that's why I'm here. Engineers monitored holographic displays, soldiers trained with advanced weapons, and maps showed the extent of the recent devastation. Ethan realized that the princess's people were resilient, but they were also in desperate need of help. Your human perspective may be useful, Kayla said quietly, guiding him to a secure chamber. We have resources, but we lack strategy in certain areas. Your species is inventive. Perhaps you can offer solutions my people have not considered. But if we set traps and use their technology against them, we can level the playing field. Now he was part of a plan that could save an entire civilization. It was overwhelming, but also exhilarating. Over the next hours, Ethan worked with Kayla and the settlement's engineers to modify defensive systems. They reinforced shields, improved sensor networks, and created diversion tactics that relied on unpredictability, a human specialty. Kayla observed closely, occasionally offering guidance based on her experience with the armor and combat. Your species has an advantage, she said during one discussion. You do not follow tradition blindly. You adapt. You innovate. That is why you survived when others might have fallen. It's about helping others survive too. These qualities are rare among those outside my world. Ethan knew that the next confrontation with the raiders would test every skill, every plan, and every ounce of courage he possessed. But he was ready. Humans had faced impossible odds before, and they would do it again. As he prepared for rest, Ethan gazed out at the alien landscape through the settlement's protective dome. Fires still burned in the distance, but the stars above were calm, steady, and infinite. Somewhere out there, humans had reached farther than ever before, and now he was part of that story. Kayla, beside him, checked her armor once more. Tomorrow, she said, we fight not just for survival, but for the future. You will see what humans can do when they are determined. And you will see how far humans can go when they are trusted. But even in the stillness, Ethan felt the pulse of potential. Human potential, shining brighter than any armor, stronger than any weapon, and ready to face whatever challenges the stars would send next. Dawn broke over the canyon settlement, casting long shadows across the jagged cliffs. The fires from the previous day's attacks had cooled, leaving streaks of black smoke rising faintly into the violet sky. Ethan stood on a platform overlooking the settlement, reviewing the plans he had helped Kayla organize overnight. He could see the soldiers moving into defensive positions, engineers double-checking the energy shields, and civilians carrying supplies to safe zones. Kayla approached silently, her armor gleaming in the early light. The raiders will strike within hours, she said. They will test our defenses, but they will not expect your ideas. They will not anticipate human tactics. If they fall for even half of them, it will give us a chance to turn the fight in our favor. The idea that a single species could outthink, outadapt, and outlast its enemies was ingrained in him. He looked at Kayla and thought about how trust had formed between them so quickly. Just a few days ago, he had been repairing her armor in a crumbling palace. Now, they were preparing to defend an entire settlement. The first signs of the raiders' approach appeared as distant blips on the sensors. Kayla and Ethan watched as the fleet emerged over the cliffs, sleek ships moving with deadly precision. Smoke trails marked the raiders who had pursued them from the city, and Ethan's heart pounded. This was real. The survival of Kayla's people and the credibility of humans in this part of the galaxy depended on what they did next. Kayla's armor hissed as power flowed through its systems. Get ready, she said. Follow my lead, human. Your instincts may save us. Lights flickered along hidden paths, energy pulses confused sensors, and automated defenses came online. He felt a thrill of anticipation. Humans had always been improvisers, and this was their moment to shine. The raiders descended quickly, assuming the settlement would be an easy target. But as they entered the canyon, their sensors picked up anomalies. False energy signatures, phantom movements, and sudden shifts in terrain caused by preset traps. Several ships veered off course, colliding with rock formations or triggering defensive turrets. Kayla moved among them like a shadow, her repaired armor giving her speed and protection. Ethan watched, adjusting energy outputs and monitoring the battle as she intercepted smaller raider units with precision strikes. He marveled at how her movements were both calculated and instinctive, a combination of warrior skill and royal authority. Ethan, she called, send a diversion to the eastern approach. They are focusing too much on the west. Humans had a different perspective, a different approach to problem-solving that the aliens seemed to respect but not always understand. While Kayla and her people relied on protocol and training, Ethan relied on improvisation, observation, and instinct. Together, they formed a team that was greater than the sum of its parts. A sudden alarm blared from the sensor console. A large raider ship had bypassed the traps and was heading straight for the settlement's central hub. Ethan's heart raced. Kayla, central hub, it's heading straight for the command center. I'll intercept. Ethan watched in awe as she used both strength and agility, turning the ship's momentum against it. With a precise strike, she disabled its engines, sending it tumbling into the canyon walls. The settlement erupted in cheers, but Ethan knew the battle was far from over. Several smaller raider units had regrouped, attempting to flank the settlement. He quickly deployed more diversions and used the terrain to their advantage, forcing the raiders into choke points where defensive turrets could target them. Kayla returned, landing beside him. "Your ideas saved lives today, human," she said, her voice carrying a rare note of admiration. "You think differently than my people. That is valuable. That is necessary." "I just looked at the problem and tried to find a way out. That's what humans do. We adapt, we improvise, and we don't give up." Raiders attempted multiple attacks, but the combination of human strategy and Kayla's leadership kept them at bay. Energy shields held, traps functioned perfectly, and soldiers moved with renewed confidence. Ethan realized that humans had a unique ability to see opportunities where others saw obstacles. At one point, a group of raiders attempted to scale the canyon walls to attack the settlement from above. Ethan noticed a pattern in their movements and quickly calculated the best placement for automated turrets. When the raiders reached the top, the turrets activated, sending them tumbling back down. The settlement's soldiers cheered, and Kayla nodded approvingly. "You are more than a visitor, human," she said. "You are a force multiplier. Your presence here changes the outcome of this battle." A massive ship, larger than any Ethan had seen, descended into the canyon, its weapons charged. The settlement's defenses struggled against the sheer size of the threat. Ethan and Kayla exchanged a look, both understanding that this would be the decisive moment. "Human," Kayla said, "we must act together. I will engage directly, but you must find a way to neutralize their advantage." "Can you do it?" Kayla launched herself at the ship, dodging laser fire and using her armor's agility to strike at critical points. Ethan activated his device. A pulse of energy shot through the canyon, hitting the ship at exactly the right location. Sparks flew, engines faltered, and the massive raider ship began to lose control, crashing against the canyon walls in a spectacular explosion. The settlement erupted in victory. Soldiers cheered, engineers clapped Ethan on the shoulder, and Kayla stood beside him, armor glowing faintly with energy from her exertions. "You see now," Kayla said, "why humans are valued as allies. Your courage, ingenuity, and determination have saved this settlement. You have proven your worth, human." It is in collaboration, creativity, and the willingness to act when it matters most. He realized that the battle had not only saved lives, but had also forged a bond between humans and her people, a bond built on respect and mutual trust. "You have changed how my people see humans," Kayla said quietly. "They will no longer doubt your species. They will remember this day. Humans have a lot to offer, even in places far from home." He realized that human potential was not just in survival, but in making a real difference wherever they went. Kayla stood beside him, gazing at the horizon. "Tomorrow," she said, "we plan for the future. Today you have shown what it means to be human. Tomorrow the galaxy will see even more." Humans had always faced impossible odds, and here in an alien world they had proven their worth once more. The canyon settlement was safe for now, but the universe was vast, full of dangers and opportunities. And Ethan knew that wherever humans went, they would carry courage, ingenuity, and determination, the qualities that had allowed them to survive, thrive, and now shine among the stars. As the settlement settled into the quiet of the night, Ethan allowed himself a moment of reflection. The battle had been won, but the lessons were clear. Trust, collaboration, and quick thinking could tip the balance, even against foes who seemed insurmountable. Humans had a gift, the ability to adapt, to innovate, and to inspire others to rise to challenges. Kayla turned to him one last time before they entered the command chamber. "Rest, human. You have earned it. But soon we must face new trials. The galaxy is watching, and your species has a reputation to uphold." Humans always find a way. The night after the battle had been quiet. giving the residents time to tend to the wounded, check defenses, and take stock of the damage. Ethan walked among them, observing the repairs and offering suggestions where his human perspective could help. Kayla followed him closely, her armor now fully restored after the skirmish. She had moved with unmatched speed and precision during the battle, but now her gaze was thoughtful. She had survived, her city had been defended, and yet the struggle was far from over. Her people were shaken and morale was fragile. "Human," she said, her voice steady, "the battle was won, but the war continues. My people are proud, but they are divided. Some doubt your methods, your suggestions, your presence. It is time to show them the value of collaboration." He followed Kayla to the council chamber, a large room built into the canyon wall, its walls lined with glowing panels and holographic displays. Several leaders of the settlement waited, their expressions cautious. Some nodded to Kayla, but many glanced at Ethan with suspicion, their voices low and murmuring. Kayla raised a hand, silencing the room. "This human," she began, "came to my aid when few would dare. He has shown courage, ingenuity, and determination. His ideas helped us repel the raiders and save lives. I ask that you listen to him. Your settlement has incredible technology and strength, but sometimes a fresh perspective can make a difference. Humans have a long history of solving problems under pressure. We adapt, we improvise, and we work together. That is what I offer." "And what makes you think human methods can work here? Your species is small and inexperienced compared to us. How can your ideas change the outcome?" "I am here to share that mindset with you, so that your people can combine your strength with new ways of thinking. Together, we can rebuild and protect your civilization. Trust him, if only for a moment, and consider his perspective." Leaders asked for demonstrations, and Ethan guided engineers to adjust energy shields, optimize sensor networks, and deploy defenses that relied on unconventional thinking. They tested small scenarios and saw immediate improvements. Even the most doubtful council members began to nod in acknowledgement. "Perhaps humans can teach us more than we realized," one elder admitted, his tone begrudging but respectful. Ethan smiled. "We have much to learn from each other. Humans survive through collaboration, and I believe your people can too. Together we can be stronger than any raider fleet. Not just for survival, but for unity. That is more valuable than any weapon." Together, they formed a strategy that combined alien technology, human ingenuity, and careful planning. Ethan also took the opportunity to learn more about Kayla's people. He observed their culture, their rituals, and their approach to leadership. He admired their discipline, their advanced technology, and their resilience, but he noticed areas where human adaptability could complement their methods. One evening, as they reviewed battle simulations, Kayla spoke. "I underestimated humans before," she said quietly. "Your species can see possibilities that my people overlook. That is why I trust you." Trust goes both ways. You've taught me a lot too about strategy, patience, and resilience. Humans can adapt, but sometimes we need guidance from those who have experience in ways we cannot imagine. Humans and my people, working together not just to survive, but to thrive. Ethan suggested using decoys to lure the raiders into ambushes, and Kayla coordinated the soldiers to execute the maneuvers with precision. The raiders fell for the traps repeatedly, showing that human creativity and alien skill together could outsmart even seasoned enemies. "Your people are learning," Kayla said, watching the patrols, "and your influence is evident. Humans may be small, but your impact is great." Ethan realized that human ingenuity had a ripple effect. By introducing fresh perspectives and adaptability, he had empowered others to innovate on their own. Kayla took a moment to walk with him along the cliff edge, overlooking the canyon. "The raiders may strike again," she said, "but now my people are prepared, and it is in part because of you, human. You have shown that courage, intelligence, and determination can overcome fear and doubt. The galaxy is dangerous, but humans, you are capable of extraordinary things. Perhaps one day we will show others what collaboration between species can achieve." As night fell over the canyon, the settlement glowed softly with energy shields and lights. Ethan and Kayla watched the stars, thinking about the future. There would be more battles, more challenges, but they were ready. Humans had proven that creativity, adaptability, and courage could make a difference, even among alien civilizations. "You are ready," Kayla said finally, her voice quiet but firm. "Your people will be remembered here, human. You have left a mark not through weapons, but through wisdom, bravery, and action. And now that principle had saved lives, strengthened an alien settlement, and forged a bond between species. In the quiet of the night, the canyon settlement rested. The raiders were still out there, plotting, but for the first time in many days, the people felt safe, confident, and united. They had seen the value of human ingenuity, and they had witnessed the courage of someone willing to risk everything to help them. Ethan knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new threats, and new opportunities to prove that humans could make a difference anywhere. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of reflection. Humans had always faced impossible odds, and yet they survived, thrived, and adapted. Here on a distant planet, those same qualities had saved lives, inspired hope, and earned trust. Kayla stood beside him, her armor reflecting the soft light of the settlement. "Rest, human," she said. "We will need your mind, your courage, and your insight in the days to come. The war is not over, but you have shown what it means to be human." It was ingenuity, courage, determination, and the willingness to act when it mattered most. That was the legacy he would leave, not through power or dominance, but through action, trust, and collaboration. The canyon settlement slept peacefully, but the galaxy was vast and dangers still lurked. Ethan knew that humans would rise to meet them, not with fear, but with intellect, bravery, and heart. And with Kayla by his side, he understood that this was just the beginning of a story that would shine as a testament to humanity's potential. The morning air in the canyon settlement was crisp and still, carrying the scent of energy shields and repaired machinery. The night had been quiet, but everyone knew the raiders were still out there, gathering strength and planning their next strike. Ethan walked alongside Kayla, who moved with the confidence of someone who had survived impossible odds. Despite the calm, tension hummed in the settlement like electricity waiting to spark. "We cannot underestimate them," Kayla said, her violet eyes scanning the horizon. "The raiders may have suffered losses, but they are cunning. They will strike again, and perhaps with greater force. Your species adapts, innovates, and persists where others falter. That is why I trust you, human. Today, we must ensure your people are seen not just as allies, but as protectors of this settlement." Now he was a strategist, a leader, and a symbol of humanity's potential. Humans had always survived the impossible, and now he would prove that even in an alien world, they could shine. The first signs of the raiders' approach came as distant shadows against the jagged cliffs. Small groups moved swiftly, testing defenses and probing for weaknesses. Ethan adjusted the sensors and sent signals to the automated turrets he had helped configure. The traps and diversions from the previous engagements were ready, and the settlement's soldiers had learned to trust his guidance. Kayla moved among them, her armor gleaming in the early sun. She gave clear commands, positioning units, reinforcing barricades, and ensuring that civilians were safe. Her presence inspired confidence, but it was the combination of human ingenuity and alien experience that gave the settlement a true edge. As the raiders approached, Ethan noticed patterns in their movements that indicated they intended a multi-pronged attack. Some would attempt to breach the canyon walls, others would try to disable the shields, and a small elite force aimed for the command center. He quickly relayed instructions to Kayla and the soldiers, adjusting traps, redirecting energy flows, and preparing countermeasures. "The raiders are clever," Ethan said, "but humans are cleverer when we work together. We can turn their strategy against them." Ethan directed reinforcements, placing obstacles in their path, and setting diversions that forced the raiders into traps. Kayla intercepted the elite force with her armor, her movements a blur of strength and agility. She deflected attacks, launched counterstrikes, and guided the soldiers in complex maneuvers that maximized efficiency while minimizing risk. Ethan watched, adjusting sensors and energy flows to ensure that every trap, turret, and defensive measure worked at peak effectiveness. One group of raiders attempted to climb the canyon walls. Ethan activated the automated defenses he had programmed, creating a cascading effect of obstacles that forced the raiders back. Another group tried to disable the shields. He rerouted power and used a human-style improvisation to create a temporary counterfield that neutralized their efforts. Kayla moved through the battlefield with precision, intercepting raiders who slipped past defenses and guiding soldiers to vulnerable points. She nodded at Ethan, a subtle acknowledgement of the human strategies that had turned the tide. Together they worked as a single unit, human and alien, strategy and skill, intellect and courage. Hours passed, but the raiders began to falter. Their formations broke, morale weakened, and their attacks became disorganized. Ethan noticed a critical opportunity. The largest raider ship, commanding the assault, had exposed a weak point in its energy core during a failed strike. "Kayla," Ethan shouted, "the main ship has a vulnerability. If we target it, we can end this." She maneuvered with incredible agility, using her armor to strike critical points, while Ethan timed the energy bursts to destabilize the core. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the ship shuddered violently. With a final, precise strike, the raider ship erupted in a controlled explosion that scattered debris across the canyon. The remaining raiders panicked, realizing their forces were defeated. Soldiers pressed the advantage, driving the survivors away and securing the settlement. When the dust settled, the settlement erupted in cheers. Civilians, soldiers, and engineers alike celebrated their survival. Kayla stood beside Ethan, armor gleaming but battle-worn, and looked at him with respect. "You have done more than I imagined, human," she said. "You have not only saved lives but inspired my people. They now see humans as allies, problem solvers, and heroes. You have proven the worth of your species. That is the true strength." Morale soared as civilians and soldiers alike realized that they were capable of more than they had imagined. Ethan spent time teaching engineers how to improvise repairs, guiding soldiers on adaptive tactics, and sharing human problem-solving techniques. Kayla observed, occasionally challenging his methods, but always learning. The exchange of knowledge strengthened the bond between species and created a culture of collaboration. One evening, as the sun dipped below the cliffs, Kayla and Ethan walked along a ridge overlooking the settlement. The canyon glowed with energy shields and the soft lights of repaired buildings. "You have changed the course of history here, human," Kayla said quietly. "Your species is capable of extraordinary things. I have learned that humans are not just survivors. They are innovators, thinkers, and courageous allies. My people will remember this day forever. We adapt, we help, and we don't give up." Kayla presented Ethan with a symbol of honor, a recognition of his contributions to their survival and his role in uniting their people. Soldiers, engineers, and civilians all gathered to show respect and gratitude. Ethan felt a sense of humility and purpose unlike anything he had experienced. "You have shown what humans can do," Kayla said, addressing the crowd and then turning to Ethan. "Not just through strength, but through intellect, courage, and the willingness to help others. This day will be remembered as the day humans and my people stood together and changed the fate of our world." Now, in this distant corner of the galaxy, humanity had made its mark once again, not through conquest or dominance, but through ingenuity, courage, and collaboration. As the sun rose higher, Ethan prepared to leave with Kayla for the next mission. The settlement was secure for now, but the galaxy was vast and filled with unknown challenges. Yet he felt ready, confident in the power of human adaptability and determination. Humans had always survived, always innovated, and always risen to challenges beyond imagination. Kayla looked at him with a rare smile. "Human, you have proven your species' worth. Wherever you go, your people will leave a mark, not only for survival, but for hope, innovation, and courage. I am honored to have stood beside you." Now he was a strategist, a teacher, and a hero in a story that spanned worlds. The galaxy was wide and challenges awaited, but humanity had proven its strength once more. Kayla initiated the ship's engines, lifting off from the canyon floor. The settlement faded below, safe, resilient, and inspired. Soldiers, civilians, and engineers watched them go, knowing that humans were more than visitors. They were allies, problem solvers, and beacons of hope in a dangerous galaxy. Ethan gazed out at the stars, thinking of Earth and the journey that had brought him here. Humanity had always faced impossible odds, but it had survived, thrived, and now shone as a force for good across the stars. Kayla spoke softly beside him. "The galaxy is vast, human. There will be more battles, more challenges, but now we know what we can accomplish together. Humans are not just survivors, they are catalysts for hope. That's what humans do." The ship soared into the unknown, carrying not just two individuals, but the legacy of an entire species. Humans who dared to dream, to act, and to make a difference. And in that moment, Ethan understood that humanity's story was only beginning, and its impact would echo among the stars forever.